Hey friends, welcome to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. And today I have Nanette, a divorce and life transition coach. She specializes in guiding women through the complexities of divorce and helping them rebuild their lives with strength and resilience. Nanette, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to dive into the topic today. I know, I had gone through a divorce myself and it's been about over a year now. And, I still feel like I'm mourning the loss of that. Um,
Absolutely.
so what are some practical, steps women can take to regain their financial independence after divorce, or maybe even just kind of work through those feelings of guilt? I know they're two separate things, finance and then the emotion part, but let's dive into those.
For sure. Well, I'll dive into finances first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've just been through it. You know that it's challenging, not on only on a legal level, emotional level, but then there's really the bulk of it is, especially for women, is the financial level.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to tell women that the best time to prepare is before your divorce.
Yeah.
But in that first year when you are, I always call it suddenly single. Um, my biggest advice, and this is something I did, and I divorced when I was later in life. I was over 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you think your life is on a one trajectory and it goes to another. But a financial advisor is so important. Just
Mm-hmm.
someone that you can bounce ideas off of. They can give you advice on investing. But one of the things too is put away your credit cards for a minute. Truly learn in that first year what your new spending is like.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's completely different. And you may have hopefully before you've divorced, you've figured out what your expenses are and your budgeting,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes that credit card can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And also one of the thing is even if you divorce, even women that are divorcing in a high net worth, they can get out of control. So you really have to have great knowledge about what your worth is.
What your worth is, especially after someone leaving, with a high net worth
Right,
or something, because it
right.
is a transitional change. And I know that's something for me, I had to transition with that too. I was a stay-at-home mom. It's like, okay, now what am I going to do for work? I'm a full-time mom. So I'm like,
Right,
hey, like what resources do I have? Like, okay, I'm going to get into real estate, here in Nevada, like, worked really hard to do that so I can provide, a life for my family and something that I can work towards and feel financially, independent and in control.
right.
And it's important to, kind of have a little bit of a plan before you leave,
It is.
especially if you've been a stay-at-home mom, like, the
Mhm.
majority of your marriage and haven't really been able to like make the financial means that you maybe used to before you were
Right,
or whatever. So,
right.
and I think it's important, I think maybe one thing that would have been more smart for me is having the financial planner, what you talked about. Because like I'm not the best, I
A lot
manage,
of
but
us
it's like,
aren't.
yeah, exactly. Live and learn. And I don't want to learn the hard way with that. Maybe like a little bump.
Well,
But,
right. And
you
that's
know,
just it. When a woman can prepare, and that's always why, they say that, your first hire is not an attorney. And the more I do this, the more I'm like so adamant. Absolutely, you need your attorney, but you need a coach to get you kind of set up for what you need to
mhm.
do next.
Yeah.
And that next hire to me for me is always a financial advisor
Yeah.
because they can give you your best the best advice for you in your financial situation. And there's a lot of women that they're not working. Some women, unfortunately, don't even have credit cards in their own names.
Yeah.
Their house isn't in their name. So these are things that they need to, and women need to make sure that they get in order beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was one that didn't have a house in my name, and that was one of the
Yeah.
reasons. Like, I want to be a team, like I work hard,
Right.
for the children, and it's like,
Absolutely.
I'm sacrificing so much, and it's like, anyway. But parents, you need The Addicted Child, A Parent's Guide to Adolescent Substance Abuse by Richard Capriola. It's a must-have for understanding teen substance use and learning the warning signs every parent should know. The Addicted Child, A Parent's Guide to Adolescent Substance Abuse by Richard Capriola. And here's the kicker. Richard spills the beans on explaining substance used by today's adolescents and how drugs work in the teen brain. He's even included important warning signs for self-harm and eating disorders and how to find the right help for your teen. And the best part is, you're getting all of these mind-blowing insights without breaking the bank. If you're a parent or know someone who is, this book is going to be your secret weapon. Kindle or paperback, grab your copy on Amazon or go to helptheaddictedchild.com. Insights in this book are pure gold. And spread the word, share the love, and let's empower ourselves with knowledge.
Yes, yes, you
Um,
are.
and then like obviously like during the process of going through the divorce, could be, struggling. Like, could you share some advice on setting boundaries and, practicing like self-care, kind of going back to that not feeling guilty stuff and the emotion part, during the process, of rebuilding their life after the divorce?
Absolutely. With my clients, that's something I really focus on is their self-care and setting boundaries. And setting boundaries can be from your ex-husband to friends to family, that you will do things in your own time
Mm-hmm.
when it feels right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And self-care goes from taking 10 minutes of just unwinding and breathing to maybe setting aside to go for a walk, go to the gym, go to lunch with friends. I'm a big advocate of essential oils, meditation, prayer,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it. I'm a big advocate of mantras
Mm-hmm.
when you're not thinking clearly and you can't seem to get rid of that brain fog. You've been divorced, you know what that's like
Yeah.
when you're not thinking clearly and nothing seems to make sense.
I'm like, wait, what was I doing? What's going on? Like sometimes I'm
Exactly.
like, wait, is this really my life now? Like,
Well, that's true. And especially yourself, it's only been a year. It's
yeah,
still pretty fresh. And
yeah.
you go through a grieving process. So you have to treat yourself with kindness. And I'm also a big advocate is get support.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like,
Hire a coach, get into a support group, grief counseling. That was something that I wasn't expecting when I divorced,
yeah.
grieving like a death.
Mhm. Yeah.
It just threw me right off guard. And now I understand it's completely almost worse than a death because I say that person is still walking the earth. They
Yeah.
just don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah. I think also just kind of losing the idea of what you thought it was going to be. Not that like it's like perfect, but just and nothing ever is, but like at least having it somewhat in like the vision of what you thought it was going to be. So it's like
Absolutely.
mourning like that in a way as
Of
well.
course.
Mhm.
It's really the death of your marriage, what you thought was going to be forever. And then
Yeah.
you've got children. And again, everything in your life changes.
Hmm.
The only thing that doesn't have to change, is you and how you take care of yourself. But if you haven't already taken care of yourself, now is a great time to start,
Yeah.
whether it be uh, your food intake, your exercising routine. I always say if you have an exercise routine, step it up. And if you don't, it's time to get one.
Yeah. It
Join
really
a
plays a
club.
pivotal role.
Yeah, join a club, take a
Yeah.
class, bring back things in your life that used to mean a lot to you that you've kind of pushed by the wayside. Your mom, it's
It's
not
true.
about
I
you.
mean, I used to, growing up, I was athletic. I played a lot of sports, and kind of like after leaving the school scene and, in college, I didn't really like play. It's like I
Right,
liked playing a sport, you know, and it's
right,
okay, I'm gonna bring like tennis back into my life for,
yes,
you know, and it's like it's been really soothing for the soul because not only do you need to work out, I also feel like you need an activity that like just generates the soul in a different way. You know what I mean? And
right.
it's
It just brings
moving
you
your body
joy.
and thinking in a different way. So it's like, so, you know, bringing things like that back into your life, like,
Yes,
or being a part of like a group or whatever. So,
absolutely. Maybe you've always wanted to write a book, so now's the time to do
oh
it.
my God. Yeah, I've always wanted to write a book too.
But those are things that you have to
You
really,
don't
and
have
those
discipline.
are mindful moments, and it's learning to be mindful is very hard to do.
Yeah. It's easier
And
said than done.
absolutely, it's completely conscious every day from, walking to your one room to the other and just concentrating on your feet hitting the ground. Like people think that's kind of crazy, but it truly does ground you, so to
Hmm.
speak. Yeah.
Well, Nanette, it is time for the Power Mom Chronicles, and I cannot wait to dive into these questions with you. And my first one is, what's a game-changing lesson life has taught you?
Well, divorce is a game changer. And and I think it was the power of stepping out of my comfort zone once I had the opportunity. And for me, it was during COVID, stepping out of my comfort zone and finding a new path,
Hmm.
which completely changed my outlook on life and on myself. Because now I always say I'm stronger, more courageous, and full of energy than I ever have been.
Hmm.
And that was a game changer in my life. Just stepping out of my comfort zone and doing things that I never expected to do in my life.
Yeah. I think stepping out of your comfort zone, that's the way you grow, you know, and you learn and you discover who you are and new, you know, things about you, you know, like,
About
"Oh, I didn't know I
yourself.
was like brave enough to do this or, you know, strong
Absolutely.
enough to do that and smart enough to do this, you know, whatever. Um,
And it's so true. And women tend to play themselves down.
yeah. And you know, and then reflecting on your journey, what practical lessons or insights can our listeners apply to improve their own lives?
Again, don't be afraid to ask questions, try new things. Like I said earlier, uh, have you always wanted to paint? Take a painting class. Have you always wanted to dig deep,
Hmm.
listen to that inner voice, and just don't be afraid. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the only thing that I can, think of is that just don't be afraid because um, for women, a little piece of advice, the older we get, the stronger we get.
Yeah.
We truly do come into our own after we're 40 years old. So,
Yeah.
yeah, wait for it.
So also, can you offer a piece of wisdom for women, moms, anyone really striving to find their strength and voice?
Again, I want you to realize that you are more powerful than you think you are.
Hmm.
And when you let's say, learn to meditate, take 3 minutes in the morning to just quietly sit and reflect and listen to that inner voice and what you want in your life, you will get a message, you will get an answer, and learn to slow down, take a breath. And it all goes back to basically get out of your own way
Hmm.
so that the doors will open up for you and you can go through them and great things will happen if you let it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best advice you've ever received.
Oh, don't take no for an answer. Truly. I've been hearing that a lot lately, especially from women that on interviews that you see. Yeah, just don't take no for an answer because um, a lot of doors will close in your face and that's okay. There's other ones that it will open for you, but don't let anybody intimidate you to think that you can't do what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is the cherry on top to this wonderful episode. Nanette, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of
Oh,
Not Your Mama's podcast.
thank
All of
you.
her links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy, go say hi, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for listening.